Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode. Andy, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the Golden Crane Awards.
Yay! And our winter podcasting symposium as well, right? We've got a lot of things to talk about today. What else shall we tell our listeners?
I have a question for you. Are you recording on your end?
Am I recording on my end? That's a really great question. I am not. I
We should be,
forgot,
right?
right? Didn't this happen last time?
Something got messed up last time and we
All
had to
right.
restart.
Yes. Okay. So we'll restart once again. Are you recording?
I will now.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hit record. Are you ready to hit record?
Yep.
Okay. I'm recording. Are you recording?
I'm recording.
Okay. So let's, when you're in position in your mic, let's snap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hello. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. So, Andy, what are we talking about today?
We've got a lot to talk about. Um, First on my list, or top of my list, is the Golden Crane Awards.
Okay, well, let's give our listeners a rundown. We're going to talk about the Golden Crane Awards, right? And then we're going to talk about our winter podcasting symposium. We've got some gear talk, a couple of shout outs from AAP member shows. We're also going to talk about Listen Notes. It's a search engine and directory, as well as Podbean. They've got some exciting things going on with their live stream app and their multiple account with one username type of thing going on. So, Andy, what do you want to jump into first?
Um, I don't know. Winter Symposium, Golden Cranes,
Let's
or
do.
member highlights.
Let's do Golden Crane. How about we get our work done so then we can have the fun? How does that sound?
That's a deal.
Okay. So basically, Golden Crane Awards, it's so exciting. I'm excited because this is our first annual awards event. Andrew and I have been talking about this for 2 years, and we just decided enough is enough. And we want to end the year of 2020 on a good note. And so that's what we're doing. So we got together with some folks, and they're helping us put it together so that we can bring it to you live on December 29th, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's Tuesday. Andrew, when is the submissions window for nominations closing?
That closes on December 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's right. That's right. And so get those in, folks. We've got a really nice array already. And if you know of any kid podcasters, kids who are hosts of their own show with current episodes, please do send them our way. We want to acknowledge the youngest in our field. Wouldn't you say, Andy?
All ages. It's open to all ages.
Exactly. Elementary, middle, and college, to be exact. And so, what else do we need to say about the Golden Crane Awards?
Well, I think first of all, for more information, go to aapodcasters.org/awards 2020. But I'll tell you that there are about 15 categories, and you can see how your show fits best or which category fits your show best. And it's not, I don't think it's that hard, do you? To nominate
No,
your show or a friend's show?
no, not at all. And all are welcome. If you're not an AAP member, there's a slight fee, but you can always join AAP. But if you're watching this, chances are you are already a member. Oh my goodness. Okay, so people are saying nice. Oh, you've gotten a compliment for nice Christmas decorations. Thank you, Peter. And so let's then go on to our winter podcasting symposium. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
All right. Well, that's on January 23rd. It's a Saturday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And submissions are open and we're accepting them until about December 20th. So make sure, and our theme is unstoppable. So make sure that you relate your talk pitch to the theme of unstoppable. We've got some good submissions and looking forward to sending some, hey, you're going to be speaking notices soon. Andy, do you have any thoughts on the Winter Symposium?
I'm wondering, do I need to submit? I think I do. But my
Well, if you
comment is that I encourage people to submit because it's one of those things that oftentimes you feel like you're not ready to do it or you're just like there's something just holding you back. And I think that a speaking opportunity is just it's a fun thing to do, and when you do it, you end up learning a lot because when you teach, like when you teach, you can't help but learn. And it gives you just increased visibility, and people get to know you. People will check out your show. And I think all podcasters want an increase in downloads. So put yourself out there.
exactly. And it's really for us by us. So let's get it done. And if you haven't spoken before, now's the time to try, right?
It's a friendly crowd.
It is. I'm friendly, you're friendly. We don't bite. And all right, so let's move on to what should we talk about next? You know what? Let's talk about listennotes.com. How about that?
Yes, because
Because Listen Notes is one of our sponsors. Yay! Thank you so much. ListenNotes.com is sponsoring the Golden Crane Awards, and we want to share it with you because we use Listen Notes for our AAP member podcast, I should say, podcast directory, and we've been using it for a while. Andrew, how many shows do we have listed now? It's impressive.
we have 712 podcasts in the directory, and it is indeed a global, like, I'm trying to find Asian created podcasts, either hosted or produced or edited. But most of the shows, I think, are Asian hosted from around the world, from many, many countries. So that's why there are many shows in there. But it keeps growing.
That's
And
right.
that's one of my missions to find the creators out there.
Yes, and we've been doing this. We, by we, I mean Andy, has been doing this for 2 years now. And so let's talk about Listen Notes. What is amazing about it? I mean, it is a search engine for what exactly, Andrew?
Listen Notes is the best podcast search engine.
Now, are you
Trademark
just saying
pending.
that? Are you
No,
just
that's from
saying
the
that?
website. That's
Okay.
from their website, and it's the best podcast search engine, TM, meaning that, they may get the service mark or trademark for that phrase. And it also goes on to say it's like Google, but for podcasts. And I,
Nice.
I do have to say that it is a great search engine for podcasts. So, for example, I get a lot of pitches by email for podcast guests for my show.
Mm,
And I can open up Listen Notes and type the guest's name in and see what other shows they've been on. And I can sort it by relevance, I can sort it by date, and then
wow.
you can listen to the podcasts on the website too. So I can quickly listen to 5 minutes and say, is this potential guest someone worth having on my show? And is it a good fit for my show? So in that way, Listen Notes is really helpful.
Nice. So it's also a search directory, not only for the podcasts, but you're saying episodes and playlists. Well, we have a playlist, which is our directory, right?
Yeah, I think that that's the cool thing, right? Because it's a database of podcasting. And actually, if you go to the About page, there are 1.87 million podcasts. There are 89.7 million episodes. There have been 10.6 million searches and over 40 million listens.
Wow.
So you have this database, and from a listener's perspective, you can create playlists there. So that's what we've done for the Asian American Podcasters Association. It's pretty easy. I can search for a podcast by name, or I could be searching for a guest, and then you just click save, and you save it to your playlist.
Gotcha.
And the cool thing about that is that once you have a playlist, you then have an RSS feed created by Listen Notes So in your favorite podcast catcher, like I use Overcast, I can put the RSS feed in there, and whatever I add to the playlist in Listen Notes will automatically download into Overcast.
That sounds pretty cool. And I've looked up a few things, but I really love the fact that what you said, you can do a search for people and see where they've been in terms of guesting and things, and that's got to be really helpful. I haven't been having I don't have too many guests lately, but I can imagine that that's really helpful, especially when you're doing your research, because we should be doing our research when we have guests.
Yeah, and I
Don't you
mean, it can
think?
be a tool if you're if you're a new podcaster, or if you are a seasoned podcaster. If you're looking for guests, you can kind of search for other shows in your category, see who's been having appearances, and then you could do outreach, or you might just stumble upon somebody and say that this person sounds really interesting, and then go search Google and see how you can contact them.
Nice. Well, do we need to? Is there any other thing that we can share about Listen Notes before we go on to shout outs?
I will add that it's founded by Wenbin Fang. He's an avid podcast listener who, according to the website, says that he listens to over 5 hours of podcasts every day.
What is he listening at double speed?
I don't know, but he's consuming a lot of podcasts, and that's kind of why he created Listen Notes. I think it started kind of as this weekend project for him, but he's built it out to include like a small team of developers. And I think it's been around since 2017. If anyone out there who's listening or watching wants to create a podcast app, Listen Notes has an API. So you can use the Listen Notes API to create your app based on the podcast directory or whatever information he has in the database. So thank you to Wenbin for being a sponsor of the Golden Crane Awards, and I like the website.
Yes, and we use it. I mean, our our podcast directory. We do have a speaker directory, and you do want to submit because we get approached by outside organizations asking if we can provide speakers. So you do want to submit to that. But the podcast directory has lived at Listen Notes since we've begun almost 2 years ago. So
Yes, and
thank
in
you.
theory, you could take that RSS feed and add it to your podcast catcher. But with 712 shows, you're going to blow up your phone.
And growing, by the
So
way.
don't so don't do that. Just go to listennotes.com and listen there.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, thank you. Okay, so let's go to shout outs. And I am going to have to look at my notes because we've got three. So, what we do in shout outs, sometimes we share our members and their good news and their shows. And so we've got a couple up for today. We have Ray Abadias, and he has the show Banana Q, a Filipino flavor podcast. Episode 6, Why Do We Love Jollibee So Much? And just give me a quick moment, please. Just a moment. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Okay, so let me just do that part over for our podcast listeners because we do this as a podcast. So our first shout out goes to Ray Abadias. He has the show Banana Q, a Filipino flavored podcast. Wow, it is just so noisy in my house. My phone is going off because I forgot to turn it off. My kid and my husband are home. They're being loud and the heater is kicking in. So, those of you listening as a podcast, I apologize ahead of time. So let me try this one more time. So our shout out, the first one goes to Ray Abadias. He is the host of Banana Q, a Filipino flavor podcast. He wants us to know about episode 6. Why do we love Jollibee so much? He says one of the questions we ask when you submit your good news is, what is your awesome and amazing news that you want us to yell from the rooftops? And he says that it's his first survey type episode with several respondents and that they got a lot of positive feedback from their listeners. And what is notable about their show is that they got an unbiased review of the Jollibee experience with respondents from all over the world. But reviews in general, aren't they biased already, Andy?
Reviews,
Yeah.
I pass no judgment. I'm just happy to get one when they come in.
Exactly. So shout out to Ray. Hey. The next we've got a shout out is the name of the podcast is Breakthrough Growth Reflection by J. Ray Matarang. So the thing is, he wants us to know that in this episode, he starts discussing positive self-talk, but notes recent discovery of toxic positivity. He says he then revisits his spiritual journey and recalls how social or societal norms push positivity, but he says he forgets about yin and yang and how we need both for one to be. He says that he continues to self-express, inspire, and empower, and that his show focuses on spiritual journeys and expressions through vulnerability. That's a big word these days. You know, Brene Brown has really brought the word vulnerability to the forefront. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
Brene Brown, yes, very popular.
Yes. So, okay. Well, so shout out to you, J Ray. Yay. And then our final shout out goes to Lucas Egan. He is the host of LAN Parties or LAN Parties, episode 47. It released earlier this month. What he wants us to know, everyone, is that they interviewed Daisuke Tsuji, the voice of Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima. He is nominated for Best Performance at the Game Awards. That's pretty cool. And then the other thing he wants us to know is that Daisuke Tsuji was the lead in Ghost of Tsushima and gives Asian Americans a prominent role in one of the biggest video game releases of the year. So shout out to Lucas and for the guest. Awesome. Andrew, does any of what I just said ring a bell for you?
Yes, but I'm not a gamer, so this is not my area of expertise.
No, but Lucas, it seems Lucas is a journalist by trade. And so, Lucas, congratulations. Lucas also had another win in his career, I should say. So, he also wanted to share that he was selected to be part of the Game Awards Future Class. And he says that he shares it because he wants to inspire people and remind us that no matter what our show is, if we're passionate about it, we will find our audience. And so, thank you for sharing that win. And he says he's been doing the gaming podcast since January. So, kudos to you, Lucas.
It sounds like a heck of a year. Those are big wins.
Yes, yes. I'm going
And
to clap.
amen to the, you've got to be passionate about your subject matter because you do time after time see in various podcasting groups people asking, what should my podcast be about?
Exactly.
And you have to figure that out on your own because otherwise, if you're not passionate about your show and what you're talking about, it's going to be very, very difficult to keep it going.
That's
so
right.
I think he's onto something there.
Yes, and you have to remember your why. You know, that's also been thrown around for the past few years, but really that's going to motivate you and charge you up when you just feel like crawling under the covers wondering, why isn't anybody listening to my show?
Simon Sinek.
Right? All right. So thank you for that. And For you to appear on an AAP podcast shout out, all you have to do is go to aapodcasters.org and submit your good news. And really, what will get you on the show is when you submit your good news and share why it's good or what you've learned from it. So we love sharing member shows and news because we want to highlight and get your show out there too. So thank you so much for submitting, everyone. Now let's go to, shall we go to Podbean? Let's go to Podbean. So podbean.com is also a sponsor of the AAP Golden Crane Awards, and they have some exciting stuff. And so while Andrew was off at the office, I had a chance to interview Shannon Martin, the director of communications of Podbean. So let's go there now, and I'll go ahead and insert that. And so that was what Shannon and I discussed. If you're watching live on Facebook and YouTube, you'll have to check out the podcast to get the scoop. But essentially, Podbean also has a free live streaming podcast app. And the cool thing is that we're going to make history with the AAP Golden Crane Awards on December 29th because we are also, in addition to live streaming the video, we are going to live stream it as a podcast. And I'm working on getting the tech stuff all figured out for that. And so, Andrew, do you have any thoughts on that before I continue?
I think the Podbean's app is really cool. I think that it has like a nice base of people who are listening to podcasts through the Podbean app, and the benefit of having a show hosted at Podbean, but anyone can use this function, is that you can do a live stream, audio only, onto the app. And it's another potential like discovery tool for podcasters. Because you can get featured on the Podbean app, I think on the front page when there are different live streams happening. So people who are using the app may stumble upon your content even though they don't know about you. And
Exactly.
that's always a good thing.
Exactly. And so also with Podbean, they have this feature now where you can log in. So let's say you have more than one show and you had multiple logins before. Now you can put all of your shows under one username, one password, and they're all laid out before you seamlessly. So that is an exciting development as well. So you might want to check out podbean.com/Lee for a free month's trial, and we'll put that in the show notes as well. So, Andrew, anything else you want to add before we go on to our gear talk?
No, let's go on to Gear Talk.
Okay. So, in the last episode, I had mentioned that I was using a Focusrite interface, which basically goes between my microphone and my laptop recording. And so, last episode, when I was listening to the playback of the show, I noticed that my track was overmodulated, and I have to be very clear and say that that was not Focusrite's fault. That was human error. And so, I'm also now using Focusrite. And I've got the gain at the right level. Cross your fingers. And you know what I love about this thing is today I learned that so the Focusrite Solo, which is the one I have, which is one microphone that you can input. They also have an instrument input. And so guess what I used that instrument input for? Guess. Can you guess?
I have no idea.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this because it's almost like having a mini Rodecaster Pro, except not spending $600. So what I did, and I got this tip from Felix Montelara. He is the creator of the Latin Podcast Awards, and he also happens to be in our group because he's part Filipino, which is awesome. And so he and I were fiddling around, and I downloaded on my phone a sound effects app. So my phone essentially became the sample pad. So what that means is, let's say you want to have sound effects and you want to take your show on the road and just produce it on the spot. You can hook up your cell phone to the instrument input, and just you can do your segment drops, you can put your sound effects. It's so cool, and we're going to be using it. By we, I mean I will be using it for the Golden Crane Awards show. Woo! So you're going to have to tune in and see how that goes. The show, by the way, is free. So we're going to put out a registration link soon, and you can register to watch it live. So, Andrew, have you used any such thing?
I have not, which is, as you were talking about it, I was looking at my mixer thinking to myself, why haven't I tried that? The next episode that we do is going to be like a battle of the bands where each of us have different sound effects going back and forth.
That's right. And the unwanted sound effect I have now is my kid pounding up and down the stairs, which is, I'm not going to be able to delete that in post production. Sorry, folks, if you're listening to this as a podcast, but he will be reminded of this and the poor choice he's making. And so that is one sound effect. You can add custom sound effects to this app. The app that I downloaded, I'll call it up for you because I have an Android. Andy, do you have an Android or an iPhone?
I have an iPhone.
Yes. And so there are a lot of apps for the iPhone. This one is called, oh, I just had it. It's, I think it's called Soundboard. Memo Soundboard. Let me just see if I can find it on my phone. Memo Soundboard. I am looking for it. Meme Soundboard. And it's really cool because it comes loaded with a bunch of effects and people talking and different snippets. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like memes, but they're audio memes. You know what I mean? Uh, and you can add your own. They're popular ones, they're new ones, and then you can add your own sound effects. So I added some nondescript clapping and applause for the show, and it's really fun. And so when I play around with it more, I'll give you a more detailed update on it. But again, it's called Meme Soundboard, and no, we're not getting paid for it. It is ad based if you don't upgrade, and I'm thinking of upgrading, but I want to play around with the free version a little more just so I know what I'm getting into. And then the other thing is, if you have an iPhone, well, if you have an Android too, the other app that I downloaded for this very purpose is called Stream Deck. It does the same thing, but here's the caveat. With Stream Deck, if you are using your desktop and your phone, it's hard. You need to have like a second desktop to then play the sound effects with Stream Deck, I found. So that one was a little more cumbersome, which is why I then downloaded the Meme Soundboard app. Is anything I'm saying making sense, Andy, or do you think people's eyes are glazing over?
I think they're great tips because as different like media seem to be converging, like podcasts are more and more frequently live streams or YouTube channels and like repurposing content for a podcast. Like when you can do these things on the fly, it means less editing in post production. So if you can do your theme music, playing it live during the show, or having applause, it does become more like a live radio show. And any podcaster who has edited his or her own podcast knows that if you're doing it on the fly and you don't have to edit that stuff in later, it's one and done. Like you record and you're finished. That's
right.
The pipe dream.
That's right. And if I had, so Andy and I we were going to record on a different night, but we just decided to do it tonight. And so I did not preload the sound effects, but I think for the next show we do, I think I should play around with that. So I can't wait to show you it in action. But it's essentially like if you were at a radio station, and when you're listening and they talk about somebody like burping or clapping or game show buzzer sounds. Well, it's as though you push the button and those come up automatically. So that is the goal, to not edit your show, meaning not spending as much time on it if you can do all these things up front while you're recording, which is why things like the Rodecaster Pro or the Tascam Mini 42 or the Zoom P4 are great, because they have accommodations for the sound samples. That's what they're called, the buttons for that. So do you have one of those, Andy?
I don't have any of those things.
Yeah, me neither. Hence the cell phone app. But I was very excited to find out about that. So thank you, Felix. Thank you. And anything else we want to add before or as we wrap up, Andrew?
No, I think just remind people to nominate a podcast for the Golden Crane Awards before December 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
That's right.
in the US. Other than that, also, while you're doing that, submit for the Winter Symposium as a speaker.
Yes.
And what else? That's all I've got.
That's it. That's it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.